G'day there guys, Connie here again, coming at you from a dark room somewhere. Anyway, we're reading some more stories from Reddit, so sit back, relax, and enjoy. Alrighty, we're starting off on Am I the A-hole? This one was written by user Defy the Patriarchy, and it's titled, Would I be the a-hole for going ahead with a wedding that my mum is violently opposed to? I, 25 female, have been engaged to my fiance, 27, for just over 2 years, and we dated for nearly 3 years before he proposed. We set a wedding date back when we got engaged, but postponed it because my family was going through a rough patch and it didn't feel right at the time. We are now aiming for April 2025. Venue is booked and everything. Yeah, this story's a couple months old. However, my mum despises my fiance. She says that he has warning signs of an emotional abuser. He is selfish and wants to keep me to himself, and that he's going to turn me into a helpless housewife to just pop out babies for his southern racist family. For clarification, I'm a kindergarten teacher, currently pursuing my master's degree, and have exactly zero plans to have kids in the next 5 years, which he agrees with. He is an electrical engineer, also pursuing a master's degree, and does not agree with his family's conservative beliefs. She lives across the country and recently came to visit for a month. It ended badly. I mean screaming fights, storming out of the house and crying until 2 a.m, all of which culminated in me driving her to the airport 2 weeks early. She swears she will never step foot back in the state for any reason, and she refuses to be in a room with my fiancé or his family ever. Well, while she was here, I didn't get a chance to tell her that we're planning to go through with the wedding. Things are booked, etc. I fully intended to, but with all the fighting and turmoil, I didn't have a chance. Now, my fiancé and his family are asking questions about where we're at in the wedding planning process, and I'm really torn about how to answer. On the one hand, we could reschedule the entire thing and I could work with my mum to get her to agree to come. On the other hand, we could go through with the wedding, but I would have exactly 0 family members present. I desperately want my mum to be there, but I don't know if she'll ever come to terms with my fiancé's existence and importance in my life, and I'm not sure I want to keep postponing the wedding because she's not ready for me to get married yet. So, would I be the a-hole if I do go through with it? Extra, my mum does have a TBI which affects her emotional regulation. She has had the TBI since before I started dating my fiancé, so he never met her beforehand. Despite the brain injury, she swears that she is being perfectly reasonable, and that as an older woman who has dated a lot more than I have, just the one, and has known abusive men, that I should trust her implicitly and leave him. Info. Everyone has been asking, so here are some of the warning signs that she says are emotionally abusive. 1. He wouldn't leave me alone with her while she was here visiting. She is referring to the fact that while we would talk in the evenings, he was always in the room, because we talked in the living room of the small house where we live. Never mind that he literally stayed out of the house for 2 days so we could hang out together, just my mum and I. 2. He does not encourage a strong bond between my mum and I. She means that he has not pushed me to go visit my mum and brother across the country, even when they needed help. My reasoning is that I don't actually want to go across the country very often, so even when he asks me if I want to, the answer is usually no. 3. He is gay and using me as a beard. She's referring to the fact that years ago, before we even started dating, I made an offhand comment about how people thought that the new server might be gay. We worked in a restaurant with lots of liberal college kids, and straight people were the minority, so we kind of assumed everyone was LGBTQ+, unless told otherwise. I was obviously wrong, as we've been together for 5 years with no issues in the bedroom, and many conversations about the facets of sexuality. And 4. He encourages me to lie to her. I lied about going on a trip to Puerto Rico, entirely by my own choice, and despite multiple warnings by him and my best friend that it would end poorly, it did end poorly, and she does not trust me anymore, which is a separate issue. But again, my choice to lie. He actively told me it was a bad idea, and I didn't listen. I suppose it's gotten to a point where OP needs to decide what's more important to her. Her relationship with her mum, or her fiancé, her potential life partner. If it were me, I'd probably just go ahead with the wedding, and let mum deal with her own weird, insecure feelings about him. Let's go to the comments. Not the a-hole. Have your wedding. It's your mother's choice whether to come or not. If you decide to invite her, don't do it if you think she'll cause a scene. And you have no other family members at all to invite? What about friends? As long as there will be people there to support you, have your wedding and enjoy it. If you can encourage your mother to see a neurologist, do so, and try to speak to them before the appointment to tell them how she's been behaving. Opie replies, My family broke apart almost 10 years ago when my grandma died, and all I have left are my mum and younger brother. My side of the aisle would just be my best friend, a few close friends, and some friends from work. Unfortunately, she lives in a city with subpar medical care, especially when she has state disability insurance, which covers virtually nothing. My biological father was abusive, and when he lost parental rights, I lost my paternal family because they were all on his side. My maternal family exploded almost 10 years ago when my grandma died. My aunts and uncle turned on my mum, my cousins sided with their parents, and my mum wrote them all off for good. It's just been my mum, my brother and I for most of our lives, but there is literally no one else who shares a blood relationship with us that we still talk to. Opie explains, I usually would agree with you about people not saying someone is abusive just because. However, my mum has been abused by many men over the years, one of whom was my biological father. It's one of those situations where I can't tell if she's saying it because she's seen it firsthand and recognizes the signs, or if she's saying it because she's seen it so many times and now sees it everywhere. Info, what was the fight about? Was it between your mum and your fiancé, or your mum and your fiancé's family? If the latter, I'd be interested to hear what stance your fiancé took on the situation. If they were being bigoted and your fiancé didn't stand up for his beliefs and instead let her take the brunt of it, that is certainly a red flag. Opie replies, It was a fight between my mum and my fiancé because she asked him what he would do if his mum had been beaten, assaulted and made homeless, which is what happened to her a few years ago, post-TBI. She is no longer homeless, obviously. He responded that his mum had asked to be put in a home if she couldn't take care of herself. He meant it innocently enough, but she has a deep-rooted fear of mental health facilities and homes for disabled people, so it sparked terror in her. She was furious with me for not defending her against my fiancé because he was abusing her and triggering PTSD of when her father used to physically abuse her and her mum didn't defend her. What do others in your life say about your fiancé? She says, literally no one else has any concerns about him. My best friend actually lived with us for 3 years while we were dating and then engaged, and she only ever has good things to say about him. I've known her since middle school, I know her family well, and I fully trust her to tell me if I'm being an idiot or need to dump his ass. Plus, her parents are very rational and haven't raised any red flags, even going so far as to invite me and my fiancé to their beach house for a week and a half. None of my co-workers, who have all met him repeatedly, have any concerns. It's just my mum and brother, who have actually only been in his presence for less than 2 months total. Sorry, but Opie doesn't come off sounding like a good person. Opie, if you want to cut off your family, spare them the suspense and just do it. She replies, I completely get where you're coming from, and I agree that it does make me look bad. The instances I was referring to were times that my mum called me in the middle of the night because of a crisis, expected me to drop everything and be at her side to solve the problem. Emotionally, I understand where she is coming from because she needed help and wasn't able to do it herself. Logically, however, it simply isn't always possible. I'm a teacher of small children with the pay of a small child, and I can't simply fly across the country every time something goes wrong. It's a logistical nightmare for teachers to get time off for even regular things like doctor's appointments, so I can't just up and leave for unknown lengths of time. I'm always supportive over the phone, and I coordinate with my brother to make sure she gets help. I do my best from where I am, and I'm not saying I've made all the right choices, but I do resist the idea that I'm at my mum's beck and call for every crisis, just because she decided to move across the country to a place with no support system. Whew, yeah, that's fair enough. Okay, on to an update, 3.5 weeks later. A little background, we have had Life 360 on our phones for years, since my mum was a single mum and my brother and I got home from school before she did. It's never been a problem because she checks it for peace of mind, knowing where her kids are. Now she lives across the country with my brother, and I'm in a different state. She has a brain injury and still looks at my location a lot, since I'm not great at answering texts all the time. My mum is in her 50s, I'm 25, my brother is 23. Okay, this is less of an update and more of like a side post. Moving on. Last Christmas, I turned off my Life 360 because I was going on a trip to Puerto Rico that I knew she wouldn't approve of. I lied about it when my brother asked why it was turned off. My mum caught me in the lie, and it blew up our relationship pretty badly because she felt like she couldn't trust me. I'm well aware that I was the a-hole in that part of the situation. I shouldn't have turned it off, and I definitely shouldn't have lied. However, nearly a year has passed. Our relationship is still very rocky, and recently we are on the outs about my upcoming marriage. She doesn't approve and doesn't want it to happen, but I'm still doing it. She has started using my location against me, calling and starting fights whenever I spend time with my soon-to-be in-laws, asking why I'm leaving the house in the evenings, or what my plans are on the weekend that require me to drive an hour away from home. About 2 weeks ago, she and my brother turned off their locations and told me they were going to walk into the desert and unaliving themselves. I panicked, called the cops, and it turns out it was all a cry for help. They were sitting at home, totally fine. Well, I turned off my location out of anger and frustration. The thinking was, if they were going to turn theirs off to lie to me, then they didn't need to know my every move anymore. My brother texted me a couple of days ago, asking me to please turn my location back on so they can know when I'm home. I'm reluctant because I'm still angry and hurt by their words and actions, and it's honestly been pretty freeing to know that my mum can't sabotage my days out by calling and starting fights when I leave the house. I know that she does look at my location for peace of mind. Remember, brain injury, very emotional, very anxious. I also feel that, at 25, in a different state, I should have a certain level of privacy from my mum. She does not need to know my every move. But I did turn it off once before, and that ended up causing a huge pile of mistrust and lies, and I don't want to do that again either. So would I be the a-hole if I kept it turned off? Or should I do what they want and turn it back on? In no world does Opie and Opie alone need to keep her location on for her mum. That's just ridiculous. And all the comments agree with me as well. Opie's voted not the a-hole. Okay, on to an actual update, 9 months from the original. I made a post here almost a year ago, and I'm so grateful to the people who took the time to comment. I read them all and I received a lot of messages from people with advice and kind words. So, an update. We got married. A lot of y'all told me to go through with it, and after a lot of thought, we did. When my mum left in October, we were in a bad place, and we were having a lot of really awful phone calls and screaming fights. I was desperate to do something, and I finally found a therapist who helped me process some of the things that happened between my mum and I, and my role in things. In the months leading up to the wedding, my mum continued to scream at me over the phone and make threats about choosing him or her, and how she hoped I wasn't the kind of girl who got rid of her family to please a man who would end up leaving her anyway. She was downright hateful, and I spent a lot of time crying over our relationship, because I couldn't believe we'd gotten to this point. Even with knowing that some of her dysregulation was because of the brain injury, I just couldn't believe my own mum would threaten me, call me a C-word, and tell me that I wasn't allowed to be upset with her because she'd been traumatized her whole life. We got married in April, and my mum and brother did not attend. I was able to reconnect with my mum's cousin, who I used to be close with as a child, and she and her family came to the wedding. I had my best friend, her family, and my work family there to support me. A close friend performed the ceremony. Plus, of course, my husband's family was very supportive. There were times I missed my mum, and I wanted to see her smile in the audience, but I was ultimately glad that she wasn't there. I would have felt like I had to perform and cater to her every whim, and I'm so glad I was just able to enjoy a lovely day with all the people who came to celebrate with us. Just to reaffirm my feelings about her not being there, my mum did not contact me at all on the day of, and only called me a week later to ask whether I'd be sharing any pictures with her. I did send her a few because I thought a small part of her might care, but all she did was comment on how it looked like a cheap Amazon wedding. She hoped I was happy with my crappy choices and that they were worth the loss of my family. I miss her constantly, despite all our issues, but I haven't cut her off completely. We've been having a hard time communicating at all right now, and I don't know if it will ever get better, but I'm happily married and I don't regret it. Thanks for reading this far, and I appreciate all the kindness and honesty I got from my original post. Opie adds a comment. This is amazing to hear. We strongly suspect that my mother has borderline personality disorder in addition to the TBI, based on some things she did and the way she acted prior to the accident. It hurts so badly to have no mum and no brother when I was so close to them my whole life. I'm glad your wife has built a beautiful life, and I'm hoping that I can do the same. And to a deleted comment, Opie says, I'm sorry you see this on the horizon for you. I wouldn't wish this stress on anyone. I can tell you that one of the best lessons I've learned is that I have a right to privacy, a right to set boundaries, and a right to maintain them. In my context, that means that my mum doesn't need to have my location at all times. I am allowed to tell her that I only have 30 minutes, for example, to talk, and I am allowed to hang up the phone when that time limit is reached. I will always love my mum, but I don't have to let her control me. It's taken me a long time, close to 6 years, to figure these things out, with the help of friends, a supportive partner, and more recently a licensed therapist. Send me a DM if you're ever in a low spot, because it is so hard to battle it alone when no one else in your life has been through something similar. I will make it. You will make it. It will be better on the other side. Sending you good thoughts. One comment says, "What's the deal with your brother, OP? He didn't have a TBI also, did he? Why is he thinking your marriage is doomed? Not the a-hole." She replies, "My brother moved to Arizona with my mum to be her support a few years ago, and ever since he has been slowly brainwashed by her. She spends most of their waking time together ranting about how I must hate them and how awful I am, and unfortunately he believes her. I love my brother, but he's always been a mama's boy, and it makes it easier for her to influence him. He was only 19 when he moved out west with her and has never truly lived on his own, out from under her thumb, so he has no idea how warped some of her thinking is. Although my relationship with my mum is fraught with anger and mistrust, I still hold a small kernel of hope that one day my brother and I will be able to reconnect. I hope that he will heal from her influence and we'll be able to forgive each other for the way things have happened. I don't know if it will actually work like that, but I miss him too much not to hope for it." Why did he have to uproot his whole life to take care of mum and not have a real life, but you get to live normally, dating and going on vacations? Did the brother take the decision to move, or was it forced on him? Opie says it was a combination of things. At the time, she had just moved out of the house she was staying at in Arizona and was briefly homeless. I was in my senior year of college doing my student teaching, and my brother had just earned his GED and was working at a local restaurant. My brother already wasn't happy living with his girlfriend, so when he realized that mum needed more help, he had more flexibility to go. He wasn't planning to go to college at that time. He could transfer his kitchen job to a location out west, and he'd always been her hiking child who liked looking at rocks and wandering the desert with her. I was 4 months away from graduating, in the process of completing all my student teaching requirements and getting ready to submit them all for graduation consideration. Technically, I tried to get my mum to move back to our home state, since that's where both her kids were, and where the superior TBI medical care was. We live near a highly ranked hospital system. It made the most sense to bring her back here, and she adamantly refused. Sending him out there to help her was supposed to be temporary, but she got her hooks in him again, and he started to believe that he didn't deserve a life outside of caring for her. He started to believe that he owed her everything because she raised him. It was awful to watch, but literally within 2 weeks of moving out there, he stopped talking about how to bring her home, and instead switched to complaining about how I wasn't helping more from across the country. What have you done to help support your brother? Does he get respite care? Vacations? Your life was built on his sacrifice. Every one of your boundaries are his problem. He deals with the fallout of your peace. I'm not against protecting yourself from your mum, but if you're doing it on his sacrifice without helping him, not your mum, but him, your and his problems might be about the two of you's issues, and not about you and your mum. She responds, "Unfortunately, my brother doesn't know what a boundary is any more than my mother does. I've tried offering him time off or additional support from care people, and he has called me hateful for it. He believes that he owes my mother everything and that he isn't allowed to want or have things for himself anymore. It wasn't always like this, but she got her hooks in him pretty quickly after he moved out west with her. We definitely have our own issues to work through, but I am willing to do so as long as he's dealing with his own feelings and not just parroting hers. I've answered some other questions about him in other comments, but the fact is, I haven't been a great big sister, and I would love to repair our relationship a little. We've made small steps in the right directions over the years, and then we backtrack again. I just don't know how to really fix anything between us when she undoes any progress that we make as soon as he's off the phone or along in the room with her." You're the a-hole to your brother. You feel exhausted after talking with your mother once a week. Your brother has to live with her. Why didn't you move closer to her so that you can help with care? Do you think it's okay leaving your brother trapped with her there with no way to escape? From what I understand, she can't take care of herself and does not have other relatives to rely on. So he's left with the choice of either staying trapped there or leave her on the street. He was robbed of his youth already, and he has no light at the end of the tunnel. If you don't do something to support him, he will resent you for the rest of his life. And by support, I mean physical presence, not just sending some money or calling once a week. OP replies, "I completely agree with you. I've not been a good older sister. I mentioned in another comment that I never wanted him to move out there with her because I knew there was no support system there. But he is just as hateful as her at this point. I know a lot of it is rooted in anger and frustration and not true hate, but it still comes across as venomous. He hates me for learning how to set boundaries that he hasn't yet, and I've tried talking to him about how to maintain healthy space as much as possible with her, but she has him believing that he owes her his very existence. He has made special calls to me that say that my mum is very angry with me, and when she calls, I just need to sit there quietly and take it and not react to her vitriol, because that's what he has to suffer through all the time. And I hear him say that, and all I can think is, you have the same rights I do not to be called a C-word and an abuser repeatedly, but he doesn't believe me. He believes what she tells him, which is that she sacrificed for many years to raise us as a single parent, and we owe her an equal level of sacrifice. And I love him, but I'm done sacrificing. I'm nearly 25k in debt because of them, and I have no idea how long it's going to take me to crawl out of that financial hole on a teacher's salary, especially when I'm also paying almost $800 per month in their bills. I can't afford to move out west and cut my salary even smaller, and that's if I could afford the plane ticket or the moving truck in the first place. I may be going low contact with my mother, but I will never stop trying to talk to my brother, even if he doesn't respond or acknowledge me for years. I don't hate either of them, because I know that for all the suffering and stress I've endured, they have endured the same and more. We are just a collection of shattered people, and I want to do my best not to break us anymore. One commenter says, quote, I have not been a good older sister. I'm nearly 25k in debt because of them. I am also paying almost $800 per month in their bills. Nah, OP, that's going above the call of duty of being an older sister. If my older brother did something like that, I'd think something was wrong. A full-on, where are we going to bury the dead body and do I need to bring anything besides a good shovel and CSI jokes type of something went wrong. Yeah, absolutely. It's all pretty grim and I really feel for OP. It's clear to see that she still really cares about them, but it's also really clear that this really spiraled quite quickly and it seems like a lost cause at this point. I don't know, what do you guys think? Is OP doing enough here, or could she do a little bit more to help salvage this relationship? Let me know in the comments. Otherwise, that's it from me today. Hope you guys enjoyed that story, thanks for making it to the end, and I'll see you all in the next video. Have a good day. Cheers.